What are the things no one tells you about living alone? That if you don't work to actively maintain your relationships, they'll all fade away. This is a valuable truth, and I suck at it. How amazing it is that every single thing is always right where you left it. Counterpoint. There is no one to blame when you lose something. Sure there is. I just blame the ghosts. How addictive solitude is. It's difficult to go back to cohabiting if you've spent a decent amount of time living entirely on your own terms. I quite often miss living alone. It was bliss. Once you realize you can detach yourself from day-to-day problems of other people, it's hard to go back. Once you get used to it, it's extremely hard to have another person to share space with. Yes, but it's easier to notice when someone doesn't add value to your life, isn't it? There's a difference between being alone by choice and alone by means outside of your control. Being alone by choice is addictive. It's awesome. Not having to work around everyone else's bathroom schedule. You don't have to wait an hour for anyone else to shit/shower/jerk off. That's why I shit/shower/jerk off all at the same time. Inconsiderate that way. Choose carefully. This person's been paying attention. They rarely mention the freedom, the power you hold to govern each and every hour down to the last second. They always mention the doom and gloom of solitude. Works great if you're the planning and going out type. Works less well if you've had your life planned out since school and now there's nothing left to do. So you just sit and watch the hours tick away alone on a chair in an empty room. You will learn that all menial chores will in fact not get taken care of by themselves. And some don't really need to be done weekly, but some really do. Don't let things pile up. Don't leave a bunch of dishes in the sink and think I'll do it tomorrow. Don't let multiple loads of laundry get backed up and think I'll get to all of them later. Do it now. Wash that cup now. Put that plate in the dishwasher now. / when you have enough for a load of laundry. Do it now. Letting S pile up wears on you. And it's not like there's someone else around to lean on when you just can't even today. Force yourself now and it'll become second nature pretty quick. The level of peace you reach is astounding. You absolutely need a daily routine to keep yourself focused and making progress on bills, work and life itself. You also need medication in case you get sick unexpectedly, and most importantly, you seriously need to be careful and cautious when doing stuff home alone. Because there is no one there to save you. I keep my phone charged and with me around my spot in case something does happen. I can call 911. I also have check-ins with friends/family each day just to text or a message of good morning/good night, so at least there's a checkpoint that I'm okay. The plan is, if 24 hours with no reply to, then it's a phone call, and 36 hours it's call a local popo for a check. To me, it's just how it is being 50 and borders can give out unexpectedly. I'm blessed that my GF stays every other weekend at my spot, so it breaks up the entire aloneness. I do seriously recommend living alone for a few years in your life to truly get to know yourself deeply. Living alone is addicting. You will reach a point of realization when you see that being alone is so much better than risking disturbing your own peace. So glad to see that several people are saying this, because honestly it's the thing I struggle with the most. I have lived alone for 6 years now. Just me and the dog. I'm trying to date, and I'm on online dating. But I love living life on my terms by myself. I don't have a safety net like other people do. But I don't care. I've had enough trauma from other people screwing things up. If my life is screwed up, I want it to be because I did something wrong. Not because I had to absorb someone else's problems, attitude, mistakes, and spitefulness. You should create a cleaning schedule so your accumulated mess doesn't overwhelm you. One day for laundry, one day for dishes, etc. If your house looks horrible, any women you bring over might just turn back around. If you have a lawn and have to maintain it for the neighborhood, don't go more than 3 weeks without cutting it. Someone will report you to the city and you'll get a warning. I still don't know who did it to me. I was leaving a hill in the backyard alone. They didn't like that. When you move out, you might want to leave a note to say that all your friends know where your new place is, and anyone attempting to break in and use that excuse is a robber and not a friend. Yes, This happened to me. We asked the new people why they believed it. When you move places, shut off all your utilities to the old house. It doesn't matter if friends are moving in and they just need a few weeks to turn theirs on. Those bills stay in your name and you're screwed if they fail to pay and shut it off cause you trusted them. If you don't know a lot about general home maintenance, look up an easy checklist. Your vents need wiped off. Filters need changed. Batteries switched out etc. It is very easy to forget about it and then wonder why the HVAC is acting up. Ideally you do want enough in savings to pay your monthly bills for 3 to 6 months worth just in case a freak accident occurs and you're out of work. Whilst inflation is making groceries seem insane, you should do the math before you decide to eat out every day because you can burn through money fast. If you don't already have medicine for the off chance you get a cold/fever/stomach bug sleep aid, go ahead and stock up so when you get sick you don't have to worry about running to the store and the store being out. On that note, you saw the toilet paper shortage. You should have an extra of supplies just in case. It is cheaper in the long run to buy a nice bidet. I'm living alone for the first time. The lack of noise from others. It's something you don't miss, but then any random noise you have to investigate. However, I decided open some beers and blast through Halo Reach campaign most of last night. So having a great time. Haha. Get a cat. You can blame any random noise on them. There will be a slight increase in random noise of course, but it's worth it. You get to randomly decide to drop your pants whenever it's amazing. I'll see them on the floor or something after having just woken up and just say not today, pants. Or I'll just be walking through my apartment fully clothed and out of nowhere be like, yeah, I'm done with these for the day, and take my pants off and keep doing whatever I'm doing. I'll tell you what though, please don't make this a habit and then invite your girlfriend's parents over for dinner. I feel like you had to add that part at the end because of a bad last experience, haha. Buy a plunger before you need one. You're welcome. But if you don't have one yet, you get a chance to play this awful game where you just keep letting it drain as much as it will, then trying to flush again. Sometimes you win big and don't need the plunger anymore. Sometimes you drag it out too long and have to hobble to the plunger store in great discomfort. It's high stakes like that. You might experience loneliness to a level where you may not be able to distract yourself. You just sit in it. I had appendicitis at the beginning of the year. Had to take a month off of work. Even still slightly recovering. That was the first time I ever had to just sit in my own head for a prolonged amount of time. COVID didn't change my life at all. I work trade in Florida, and they still made us work during lockdown. I learned a lot about myself. Specifically how much I really hate myself, and how badly I needed to fix my mental health. Girl I had been seeing for a few months broke up with me because of how badly my negative energy was affecting her. Solitude can be a very dangerous place if you aren't as okay in the head as you make yourself believe. Personally, living alone completely killed my desire to get married. I could talk about all the pros and cons if I wanted to, but the reality is that while I lived with others, I wanted to date and have a serious relationship. Now that I've lived alone, it's so peaceful and great that I've realized being in a serious relationship will almost 100% make me less happy than I'm now. My GF and I have already discussed that we can never live together unless the house has separate wings. We'll just shoot to be neighbors one day. Nobody to ask for help when you're sick. Got really sick in December to the point I couldn't really get out of bed any longer than it took to refill my water for around 3 days. You really do miss having someone around making sure you eat, don't dehydrate, and don't get worse and expire. To be found 1 to 2 weeks later. I had bad chest pains 3 times week before last and realized that my cats would just have to eat me. I still love living alone. I broke up with an ex in 2013. I then moved in with a mate for 2 years. Those 2 years were awful. I then decided the next place I'd go I'd be on my own. 8 years later I couldn't be happier. I do shift work, so there's no issue with worrying about someone else's sleep patterns being disturbed. I can cook and eat what and when I want. I keep the place tidy, but I don't worry about being obscenely clean. i.e. I'll hoover whenever I want instead of when I think I should. I can come home at 2 AM after work and pop a load in the washing machine. Cook a meal and watch TV at a decent volume, then go to bed at 4, all without having to worry about anyone else. Living on your own is incredibly liberating. It's the most freeing feeling ever. I'm not a selfish person, but it would take someone very special to break me away from living like this. I do think though, it's not for everyone. You do have to be happy to be in your own company. You can invite people over whenever you want, and not have to worry about clearing it with other people in the household. You can cook whatever you want, and not have to give a damn if the smell might affect someone else living with you. There are some downsides though. It's more expensive. All the bills are yours alone to deal with. You can't escape that. You have to keep on top of all of them, otherwise you risk a lot. One thing to remember, which I was caught out with early on, is even though you may only use your one favorite mug for coffee, and only use a couple of items in the kitchen, you need to have more glasses, cutlery, plates etc. for when people come around. It's a spiritual journey. You'll realize how so many people get set in their ways after living alone for a few years. You definitely wear less clothes randomly. You can push back a chore for a day because it isn't going anywhere. Or do the chore at 2 AM. You're not going to wake anyone. Anything that isn't done is your own fault. Dishes, laundry, house cleaning. No one else but you made the mess. So suck it up and clean as you go. I'm divorced, so the quiet is much more relaxing to me. There are nights when the quiet can pierce skin, but that feeling is quick to disappear. You choke on something, and you're going to be in serious trouble. I've been told that you can self-heal yourself over the back of a chair, but I don't see this working that well. This is why you clearly do it the most safe way, jumping up and cannonballing back first into the floor. It's awesome, but on occasion you might get a little lonely. But I say better lonely and alone than lonely and stuck with toxic people. It gets lonely. I mean, there were weeknights where I was like, okay, I'm bored. I guess it's time for bed. And it was only 8 PM. And I'm fairly introverted, so getting lonely is not something I feel a lot. Same. My other problem is thinking about doing things all day while doing nothing, lol. It's perfectly acceptable to S with the bathroom door open and go erg. You can walk around the house with your D hanging out. 100% you can do this when you don't live alone.